Hello, everybody. We're going to be starting in just a few minutes. I just wanted to let you know that we are here. We did remember it's webinar day and we're super excited. So we hope that you all are equally as excited as we are right now. You cannot see us. You will be able to see us momentarily. We do ask that you all please mute your phone so we don't get any feedback, okay? Please and thank you. As well as if you are calling in from a landline or a cellular phone and you're not using audio through your computer. So you guys should be seeing our screen share at this time. I want to go ahead and alert those of you who are already on the line to our chat feature. You should have a chat feature as well that hopefully you can use to submit questions. So once we actually get started at 2 o'clock, I'm going to prompt you all to just respond so that we can know that our chat feature is working. It'll be an easy question, like, can you see me? Do you know what's going on in the world? Can you hear us talking? Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Okay, see, now I can hear you. I don't think I'm supposed to be able to hear you. But it's nice to hear you. I'm going to mute you if you don't mind. Okay, I'm going to minimize this because you don't actually need to see us talking. It's more important that you see the entire screen from the PowerPoint. So bye, guys. Okay, so you guys can't see me now, I'm hoping. Your chat feature is located in your user menu, and we're going to start in about 3 minutes. Maybe I can find you guys some elevator music to listen to. You can listen to me if you'd like. I don't have anything to say until 2 o'clock. I hear breathing. Who's breathing? Okay. It's okay if you breathe. We do want you to breathe. We just don't want to hear it. Okay. Let's see. I'm pulling this back in. Miss Jacqueline, is there any way that you can please mute your speaker? I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I'm not sure if it's coming from you or not. You may have already muted yourself. Savannah, you muted yourself? Yeah, we figured that out. So all of us should be muted. If you all have any questions at all, please use your chat feature. We will be checking in with you all throughout the webinar. At this time, we're going to go ahead and check our chat. If you can hear me, please write me something. Hi, I'm writing you all. Can you hear me? Question mark. Smiley face. If you all can hear us talking, please respond in your chat feature. Webinars are super fun, but for a few minutes, it always feels like you're just talking to yourself. So, hi, Miss Annette. So with our chat features, anything that you all submit will be able to be seen by everyone. And at this time, it is 2 o'clock on the dot. We are rapidly having more participants join us. So we're going to go ahead and get this party started. Welcome to our second webinar in our webinar series. It's called Disrupt Poverty Through Effective Program Implementation, 5 Steps to Greatness. We want you guys to be great. And we want to be great too. Greatness that's the goal. That's the goal in life. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead. I want to let you know we actually didn't put your worksheet up at this particular time because we're going to incorporate it into the end of our webinar, but you can get all materials once this is over. You'll be able to go on to palmettocap.org's website and you can access all of the materials, the slide deck, any notes we have, anything we reference, flyers from upcoming events that we might discuss. Everything's going to be up there within the next 24 hours. If you hear anything that you really want to share with your friends and family, any tweetables that you want to tweet, anything that's notable to you, then you can go ahead and put that up using Disrupt Poverty SC as your hashtag, and you will be able to share it. You can also see what else is going on with the Disrupt Poverty movement. Again, for those of you who are just joining us, we want to make sure that you know that you can use your chat feature to submit questions, and we will be able to see them pretty much in real time. We'll be checking throughout. So we're hoping that everyone will be able to hear us at this time, that you're all on board. If you're having any issues with your audio, please refer to the email that you should have received upon registration from Eventbrite. That will give you an alternate number to call. It's a toll-free hotline that you can call, and then you can hear us. If you are having difficulty seeing us, we do still want you to stay on the line for the simple fact that we will be providing these slides to you afterwards. So you don't feel like it's just because you can't see us that we don't want you to participate. Okay, so I didn't introduce myself. I just started talking at you. My name is Chelsea Howard Conaway, and I'm the Community Relations Director at Palmetto Community Action Partnership, which we affectionately call Palmetto CAP. So I just wanted to go over who we are and what we do. So Palmetto CAP is a private nonprofit community action agency. We are one of 14 community action agencies in the state of South Carolina, and we're one of 1,000 across the nation, and that includes territories, super fun places like Alaska and Hawaii. We're all over the place, Puerto Rico. And what we all do, we all have pretty much the same exact mission, which is to combat poverty. And so locally, we do community needs assessments to determine if we will be doing different types of programs. Different community action agencies, they customize and tailor all of their programs, but all of our missions are geared and centered around combating poverty. So that's what we do. That's what our life mission is. We've been in business since the Economic Opportunity Act created us in 1964. We've been active in the Charleston community since 1968, and we serve Charleston, Berkeley, and Dorchester counties. In 2016, we served more than 5,000 families and more than 12,000 people in those families. So we're super excited to reach out with our community. We couldn't do anything that we do without our community members and our community partners. So we're so excited that all of you are on this webinar. So in terms of disrupt poverty, you may have seen the term disrupt poverty and not known what it meant. Disrupt Poverty is the name of the initiative in which we are doing a comprehensive community needs assessment between now and 2020. But not only are we doing a community needs assessment in which we're trying to see exactly what services are needed to stop the cycles of poverty, to disrupt them, and then ultimately eliminate the cycles of poverty, both generational and situational. But we want to make sure that our experience is mutually beneficial. And so what that means is that not only are we going ahead and asking you questions and surveying you and providing you all with events where we can gauge what's going on in your communities and in your neighborhoods, But we also wanted to make sure that we're providing training opportunities for you all, that we're sharing resources, and that we're giving you all networking opportunities, and we're not just hoarding information. All of the information that we are collecting throughout the next couple of years, we are trying to make available in real time as much as possible. We launched February 8th at Trident Technical College, where we had about 200 people from all sectors of the community coming to really just talk about the issues that are going on with collegiate poverty, with people who are experiencing domestic violence, people who are experiencing homelessness and health inequity, and then about what we can do with that, both as organizations and as private citizens. And so we got a whole lot of information from that. It's taken us quite a bit longer to assemble it than we thought. Our goal is to have it for you all by next week before we go into May. So we can do this. We also had our Executive Director Roundtable March 22nd, which we had about 50 executive directors from across the Tri-County area and a little bit beyond who came and really were just interested in meeting each other. One thing that we identified in doing community needs assessment work was that, you know, our mid-level and lower level leaders within our agencies, we all know each other and we talk to each other regularly. We've got each other on speed dial when we have an issue, but a lot of our directors and CEOs hadn't yet had the opportunity to meet one another and really create those bonds and linkages that the rest of us had. So we wanted to provide that opportunity for them. And at the end of that roundtable, they did decide to make it quarterly. So they will be meeting again next quarter. So this is our second webinar, as I said. The first webinar was on March 29th, and it pertained to program planning and development. So for those of you who are back with us, we thank you for being back with us. For those of you all who missed it, it's okay, don't feel bad, because all of the information is up on our website, and we did publish the entire recorded webinar in full on our YouTube page, which you can access by clicking on YouTube and then searching for our name, Palmetto Cap, and you will find it. There's us. We love our YouTube feed. It's awesome. At least we think so. We hope you think so too. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and introduce our next speaker who will be before you, who is going to be Savannah Murray. Now, Savannah acts as our executive coordinator, and she's going to be telling you a little bit more about our trainers today. So please welcome to the microphone, Savannah Murray. Yay! Hi, guys. So great to see you again today. So today we have Mr. Thomas Nix and Ms. Reba Huff-Martin who will be presenting to you. So Mr. Nix has been with the agency for about 9 years, and he's been a director for 4 years. He's our community outreach director, and he does awesome work. Overall, he's known here at the agency as Superman, and he does everything he can in the community and here with us to make sure that he lives up to that name. So that's great. And if you watched the first webinar, you met our wonderful Deputy Director, Ms. Reba Huff-Martin, who's been here for the better half of a quarter century. She does amazing work in the partnership, and she helps us to keep our ducks in a row, and I know that she's more than excited to help keep our community members going and starting up new things. So we're going to go ahead and have Miss Reba come on and talk with you guys.
Hello, all our Disrupt Poverty friends. My name's Reba Huff-Martin. As Savannah says, I'm not really an expert, but I'm not a dinosaur either. Although I've been here almost a quarter of a century, and I didn't feel so old until right now. So today we have a very exciting topic to talk about. We are, where's the clicker? Where's the clicker?
You can click it now.
Okay. There we go. We are talking about the program implementation, but before we do program implementation, we would like to review program planning from last time, just briefly. Last time we talked about creating your mission and vision statements, and these are the guiding documents and principles for your organization or your project. We talked about a needs assessment as well as who is your target audience. You have primary customers as well as secondary customers, and then we talked about how to set goals and creating a logic model. And so these are just some of the things that you have to decide on before you actually present, consider implementing a program. Okay, so once again, we want to ask everyone to go on and mute your audio. And in continuation, we wanted to go over a few assumptions. Last time we assumed that your organization is already established, and we assumed that you already had funding in place. So if these assumptions are not true, that's okay, because this may be just a planning exercise for you, and but that's okay. So if you haven't planned your funding yet, because you may still be gathering your information, we just need to think through implementation also. So this just may be for information, but just know that funding is sort of important. So this is the third phase on the Disrupt Poverty journey. When we're talking about program implementation, these are general tips that just help you think through the program or service that you would like to do. The 5 phases are gear up, assemble your team, know your audience, marketing, and then we take off and launch. Under the first phase under what we call gearing up, it's just really important for you to give some thought about how to carefully and have an organized approach about how to present your program. Think about what it is you really want to do. You'll have some things in place from the planning phase, but you'll have to build on those things. So first, when we talk about gearing up, you need to assemble an implementation team, and it does not need to be you alone. Although I know you are a great person, you are only one person. And so a lot of times these things speed up really fast, and there are different pieces that have to be going on at the same time. So it's really difficult to do it alone. So your supporters could be volunteers, they could be experts that are mentoring you, or you may already have a board in place. So if everybody helps a little bit, then it won't get overwhelming, and you'll be more likely to succeed without having a nervous breakdown. And so the skills that are needed are finance for human resources, someone that has experience in programming, someone that has experience in the community or the service that you want to provide. And it's great to have a friend in publishing. And so the first thing you want to do after that is to revisit the plan, because you put a plan in place and you identified needs in the community that you wanted to address, and then you establish outcomes. And you want to make sure that you and your team are aware of what it is that we are looking to accomplish. What are the outcomes that we want to achieve? And then you develop the strategies that would get you where you want to be. You have to have a budget of some sort. You have to have resources. We talked about things that are resources that are not necessarily money, such as having a site, having a board, different things, equipment, supplies, things like that. So look at the resources that you have and plan for the resources that you would need. You would have to plan your staffing and volunteer recruitment and have a plan together for that. You may need to negotiate with funders. So let's say you mapped out this beautiful project and you applied for a grant, but you didn't get all of the funds that you were asking for. So at that point, do you need to scale back on the outcomes that you're seeking? Will you be able to do all the strategies that you were planning? You might have to go back and negotiate because you want to make sure that you're successful. So what gaps are there now that you need to address? And so if there's gaps, even if there's gaps on your team, you need to go out and find people to fill those gaps. So when we're developing our plan and revisiting it, is your funding really what it expected to be? You might need to check on your goals and outcomes, like we said before. And so you may not want to hire all your staff at one time. You want to gradually bring them on board. Those are the type of things that you need to think about. And especially look at the skills that you're needing for the job that you're trying to accomplish. And so make sure you have those skills in mind, because pretty soon you'll be developing your job descriptions. The next thing is to become an expert. You have to be aware of your topics, the topic that you are trying to provide the service and the topic area, because people will be asking you questions and you need to know the answer. And they will need to verify the things that you're saying to them. So study statistics. You probably did some research in the planning phases. And so you might want to specify that a little bit clearer. And you want to look at best practices for other programs that are similar to what you want to do, or maybe you want to combine things, but know what's already going on out there. And you might want to make visits to these places. They could be in your area or outside your area. It could be online, or, something that you're piecing together, different pieces that you're putting together into a more comprehensive program. So know the rules. Are there, is there something that you need to know, such as, do you need licensures? Do you need to look for people that have certain certifications to do the work that you're trying to do? You want to look at everything possible to give your program more credibility. So, and it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't have to buy expensive software, but it helps to flow chart the client services. So on paper, write down how a person would access your services, how would they receive the service, how you would follow up or evaluate your success. Because first of all, you have to determine what is success, and then you can evaluate it. The next phase in this Gear Up journey is to develop your job descriptions. You want to summarize your needs, because you'll probably need that as you're training your staff, as you're advertising your program and seeking support. So you don't want to have anything long and drawn out, but just have something in a small, concise form that would make the case for the service or program that you're providing. You want to define your expectations and make sure they're realistic and something that's doable within your grasp. You want to create policies and procedures, and once again, they don't have to be anything in depth, but if you do have a board, make sure you all agree and that you have the necessary approval, so when your staff comes on board, it won't be a lot of back and forth, and you will have already thought that through. Have a hiring plan. Like I said earlier, you might want to hire a few people at first and then grow as your program or service becomes more popular. You want to plan your orientation and your onboarding processes, and onboarding just means, you really don't think that you would hire a person with a one-day orientation and expect them to be an expert the next day. So we'll learn more about how to assemble our team, but you want to at least think through that process and not bring everybody new at one time, and then we're just all just bumping into each other trying to figure things out. There's human resources rules, and ignorance of the law is no excuse. So you want to make sure that you're knowledgeable and about what to do and what not to do, things that you can ask on interviews and that type thing. There's certain documentation that will have to be gathered. And so you want to make sure that you're fully aware of those things. And if you're not, that's fine. You can find people who are. You want to plan for equipment and supplies. You don't want to hire someone and then have no place for them to sit, or no computer for them to work on, or no phone, or whatever equipment and supplies they need. So just think about those things and attain them, or how you'll implement those steps. And once again, you always need to assess for gaps and figure out where you need help. Like we talked about HR earlier, you might want to ask for help in that area, and you'd be surprised at how many organizations are willing to help at no cost when you're trying to do a service for the community. So that was the gear up phase. And so now we'll have Superman, also known as Thomas Nix, to bring you some information about how to assemble your team.
Hey guys, it's Thomas. They refer to me as Superman, but there's no pressure there, I guess. I'm very happy to be here. I'm glad you guys have taken time out to be with us as well. While I get to do a lot of things here, webinar is a first for me. So this could be quite the roller coaster ride, and I hope you guys will just sit back and enjoy this. It could get quite funny. Just bear with me. So we want to assemble our team. So of course we want to be realistic, and to implement a successful program all by ourselves, we're going to need some help. We don't want to do this all ourselves. We want to use the entire agency as we try to plan to build a team like this. And to do that, we're going to need input from everyone. That is not a picture of me. I hope you can see that. Well, you heard this statement many times before. Teamwork makes the dream work. It's passed around a lot. I hear it everywhere. And it's the true statement. And we try to look at a few of the core values. And we know there's a multitude of core values, but we look at some like value, accountability, feedback, and dependability. Of course, when you start looking at this, you want someone who has values, who brings value to the team, who takes pride in a job that's well done. We know that using people that have values like that can really help the team and the program get off the ground and have a lot of great input that will help us be successful, and that's exactly what we're looking to do. Certainly, accountability. We want to know that they can accept responsibility, they're accountable for their actions, and you want them to be accountable for their actions because it gives them a stake in what's going on. And if they have a stake in what's happening in the successful part of that program, they're going to be more in tune to what's going on, and they're going to want to learn and want to be a part of that success. And certainly we want their feedback. We want them to be able to evaluate what's going on. We want them also to be able to articulate that information and communicate that back to other team members. We want them to be a stand-up part of that team. So you want to look for someone who can fit that mold. You get their feedback. It's very important to their success, and it's certainly very important to the success of the program. Dependability, another core value. Are they reliable? Will they be able to be depended on? You want them to be invested in the program as much as we're invested in the program to support our mission, to support our vision. So they're not just plainly showing up because they needed a job and a paycheck. So we have to try to work through that as best that we can. So first things first, we're going to try to assemble our team. So we're going to do some recruiting. Well, when we recruit, depending on the program that we're looking at and what we want to be clear, concise in the details that are expected when we go out and we begin to look. So that takes a team effort. You want to look at HR. You want to look at the managers in the department. You want to look at senior management. You don't want to isolate any department or any person that might have value that can add to clarifying expectations, what we're recruiting for the program that we want to implement. Don't be afraid also to go outside the agency. There's a ton of research that you can do. You can obviously access other agencies or other organizations and find out maybe some of the things they're doing that we're not, or that you may not be doing, that will help you when you go to try to do this, to execute your hiring plan, to clarify the expectations of who you're trying to hire. So keep that in mind. Even though you have this team and all you guys are working together to try to put this forward, also go outside of the agency and look at what some other organizations are doing. And it may just be the very niche that you need that will get you over the hump. Of course, include selection criteria. What did you use to showcase this particular job? Think about skills versus experience versus that knowledge. So that is something that is also crucial. Again, I'd already mentioned that, HR plays an important role here. I mean, we're looking at orientation through HR ethics and policies and certainly procedures like that. And so that needs to be part of that team as well. You also want to plan for emergencies and contingencies. What if someone's out? Do we have a succession plan? Do we cross-train? Should we have cross-trained? So that we don't run into that brick wall and all of a sudden we can't complete our mission or our vision for that particular department or that particular program. So you want to cross-train. You want to have a plan in place because emergencies happen every single day. Contingencies on that is absolutely crucial. You don't want it to slow down. You don't want anything to stop the progression of your program and its success. Okay, so as we continue to paint our picture, as we assemble the team, this is going to be after hiring. So this is bringing the person in. They call it onboarding. So of course, there's orientation. Again, this is where our HR will come into play and do an employee orientation and start giving them and laying that basic groundwork. We also want to let them know, as Ms. Howard spoke earlier, we've been in business for so long. This has been going on since 1964. You want them to know, you want to educate them on what we're doing. We want them to know our mission. We want them to know the vision that your organization or agency has. The needs of what we're looking at, the outcomes. You want to give them every tool necessary to know their job as well as know what the agency is doing and where they are going. Also, steps and stages, I think, goes in connection with test comprehension. You certainly would not want to start at A and then let them run through Z without having checks and balances in between. You could lose 30, 60, 90 days worth of manpower, resources, money. It just would not be a successful outcome to do it that way. So you want to have steps and stages in there. You want to test to see if they are getting the comprehension. This is a service also that is needed for that person that you've hired. This will help them definitely get through each of those stages, knowing what they need to, being able to ask you those questions, being able to reevaluate themselves as well. This helps them become engaged in implementation plans, the flow charts for the clients. This is a community effort as much in the community as it is within the organization itself. Under communication and stress plan, Ms. Reba and I were at a leadership conference earlier this year, and we sat in on a class that dealt with nothing but the health of your agency and the health of your staff. And I think it's crucial, given what we do here at Palmetto CAP. We see 40 to 50 people a day who in some cases are at their very end. Food, water, clothing, electric, you name it, rent, meds, and it is the worst of the worst and I'm sure a lot of you have seen this as well. our people see this every few minutes. You have to check on the health of the agency. You have to check on the health of your staff, because it can build up on them. And then that plays into having those emergencies that pop up. We don't have a succession plan to be able to handle that. So you have to provide that relief in there for them as well, because the healthy agency is going to make your healthy outcomes. It's going to make it successful and everyone in it is successful. And that's what the overall ending is, what we want for our outcomes. Okay, I hope that wasn't too bad. I'm going to hand it back over to Ms. Reba, and then I'll come back and see you shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. And Thomas and Ashley, they are the directors of our outreach department, which is one of our larger and probably more complicated departments. So we appreciate his help in presenting, because he comes from, a wide array of knowledge base. And so we really thank him for being here with us today. And so the next thing we're going to talk about on this journey of program implementation is knowing our audience. So we've geared up, we've assembled our team, and now we want to learn a little bit more about our audience. Okay, so first things first, you have to determine who your customers are. We talked about primary versus secondary, and then internal versus external. So when we talk about our customers, these are people who you will need to make this work. As far as internal customers, you have your staff. If you don't hire the right staff, and of course nobody has a crystal ball, you try to do your best and think up front, but sometimes it won't work out. And so so it's really important that you kind of think through that process and try to have staff that will work together and see your vision, as Thomas talked about earlier. Of course, you have to please your funders, and if they have certain rules, regulations, reports, you are bound to agree. You've already agreed to do those things, and so you have to figure out how to make that happen. And you always want to inform them of the things that you're doing and the progress, as well as the barriers, because the best laid plans, sometimes don't always work. And so if you are running into barriers, you want to let them know what those barriers are. You may have an executive board, you may have an advisory board. So these are the customers that you have to keep in mind. As far as those are your internal customers. And we always think primary customers are our target population, the people that you're trying to reach. But as you can see, we have a whole page full of customers. If you're doing anything in the community, you are going to have to get community buy-in. So you're going to have to work within the community that you're trying to reach. You don't want to be one of those people that shows up to church whenever you need something and nobody ever sees you again. So you need to integrate yourself within the community that you're reaching, and it should be the person that they will see when they come to the office. So that's why we send Chelsea out as our spokesman a lot of times, but we also send Thomas out, because when they come to get their energy bill paid, they won't see Chelsea, they'll see Thomas. And so, and we have to know what people are saying out there, and we then bring that in-house and address the issues that we see. Sometimes you will need to enlist the help of politicians, local politicians, that can help you with resources as well as influencing communities and inviting you to different meetings and type things that, and letting you know the people that you need to talk to and get on your side and get on board with this new project that you're proposing. And the religious communities, like I said, not just one time at church, but you have to go to things that they're hosting in the community, because quid pro quo is a real thing. So you can't expect people to come to your events if you don't go to anybody else's events. There are other grassroots organizations, some of them informal, some of them more formal. And so you want those people to know about what you're doing, because that's where the rubber meets the road, and they're always out and they're always talking to people. So they need to understand what you're trying to do and why you're trying to do it. You may already have partners and collaborating organizations that can also help you get the word out for what you're doing. So this is knowing more about the customers that we're trying to reach. Okay, it's not coming. Hold on, technical difficulties. That arrow, this arrow. Oh, okay. All right. And so the next thing you need to do, you've done all this planning and all this work. So it's time to get out of the ivory tower and meet and greet, press the flesh, share your vision. You want to have your elevator pitch ready. So you want to have a 1 minute presentation that you can do to people that you just run into on the street, to engage them and, have them to work with you. As you're making contacts and developing partnerships, you want to have a memorandum of understanding, or some people say MOA, which is just a memorandum of agreement, because you will be meeting a lot of people and you may not remember what you promised and you may not remember what they promised. So if you get it down on paper, and then especially with nonprofits and grassroots, people change all the time. So in your planning phase, you may have gotten a promise, and then when you go back to implement, that person is long gone and said nothing to the replacement. They know nothing about what you're talking. So it's important to get those agreements documented and any contracts that you may need. At this point, you want to continue to build your team externally as well as internally. So, and you will need more than just yourself to get the word out. So your staff, like Thomas said, is part of your community. So they go to churches and they're part of community groups, and they can help you advertise what you're actually trying to get out there to the community. Your board is also a great source to get information out, and as well as your partners. And when you're looking at the staff, you might want to consider hiring someone from the community that you're trying to reach, and think about that as part of your hiring process, because that person will know who to speak to, who are the movers and shakers, and probably has positive relationships with those people that can get you in the door that you want to be. Consider creating an advisory group. And so this would be people that have a positive standing in the community that others may listen to. So just them asking to come to a workshop or a meeting will get people in the door. So consider using that as a tool, but you have to, the thing with the advisory groups, you have to listen to them. You can't just have them and use them for what you think needs to be done. You really have to listen to them. You have to show them what you're trying to do. You have to show them the justification through the needs, and you really have to test the theories that you have developed so far. And if you all can then agree on the strategies that need to be done, and you have to be flexible enough to not venture away from what was promised in your grant application or to your funders. You can't venture away from that, but you can give some flexibility and listen to them and implement their ideas so that you all can go forth together. Thomas is going to come back and talk more about the fourth phase.
Hey guys, I'm back.
Hey.
Okay, so in that fourth phase, we were talking about communications, marketing with communications plan. How will you communicate and publicize? So that's another crucial phase. Without getting that out there, we have nothing. We have no target audience. We would not be successful. So of course, one of the first things you need to do was just everyone needs to be together on this and agree. We know communication methods. Here's just a few of them, as you can see. Of course, we know there are a ton more, including every form of social media. So always keep that variety in mind, but please always remember you have to agree. Everyone wants to get together, so agree so that we're not all over the place, because everything's going to get lost in translation at that time. So stay within your budget and agree on what you're looking at and what you're trying to do would be get that word of mouth out there and market of what you're trying to do on your, with the communications plan. So having said that, we want to identify and engage our supporters. That is another crucial element within this. We elicit a ton of partners. We have probably 120 plus partners that we actively engage in as we operate in the 3 counties that we are involved in. You want to get with them because you want to get to the decision makers and the influencers. You want to get to them early in your planning process, as early as possible. These are the people that are getting in front of the clientele that we are trying to reach. They're with them every week, every weekend, whether it's at church, the community centers, or wherever it may be, that they are the ones who are getting in front of them. And so we want to reach them and make sure that we're getting that message to them and getting them involved with their communities. Visible support from influencers. Again, we know that's key in being successful and in implementing a successful program. You want to draw them in. You want that trust as an element that we have to fight every day. That having people trust us and to know that we're here for them and whatever may be going on, which is their own individual emergencies that we have to look at all. So you want to encourage that trust and that support from the influencers. Again, the influencers that we're talking about are the people who can actually get in front of the communities that we're trying to get into to get the message out of what our mission is and what our vision is. So we try to do, as in step 3, is identify at least one influencer in the area that we're trying to work in or implement in a program who would be fully informed about each of the steps of the program. If possible, you want to train them with the program components, and they can act like your advocate, which, as an example, we have a food and nutrition program that we used a nutritionist. And our nutritionist who came in and did the nutritional part of the program, also did cooking demonstrations and handed out food. We involved her in every one of our meetings. So when she went out into the communities that we were trying to reach, she could speak about the program. She could speak about the agency. She could speak about the mission and our vision and what we were trying to do. And she was strategic in what she did, helped it become successful as it is today. And as we are continuing that success with that, that is one of the key elements, is involving those influencers who you can bring in and educate them. So when they're out there, they're answering those questions where we're not in the face of them yet. We've not met with them and we're not able to explain what the agency does. And as we all know, there are parts in our communities, especially in the rural areas, that might not even know what we're doing and know that we offer the services that we do. We also want to use technical and informational tools. certainly to assist with formulating key messages for influencers. This is key. Again, we know that today all forms of social media reach every corner of the world, and everyone's organization and agency should be taking advantage of that. So marketing, identifying and engaging your supporters. Oh, excuse me, technical difficulty on my end. Okay, here we go. So you want to be strategic, and I think that's a given. Certainly we got to be strategic or we're not going to be successful. So you want to have a general target. We may want to, in our area, serve a neighborhood in North Charleston. Well, North Charleston has a lot of neighborhoods, and it's very big. So now we should get specific in what we want to do. So we're going to pick an area. We're going to pick maybe a county or a different neighborhood. Once we do that, now let's narrow this even further. Are we trying to reach single mothers? Are we trying to reach single family homes? Are we trying to reach the senior or the disabled? Narrow it down even further. This will ensure success in your program based on your strategic plan. Be thinking that promotions and budget issues should be tied in together. So when you're promoting and you've got your budget, you want to stay within that budget. You don't want to get lost in promoting, blow out your budget, and then this will drag the whole plan back down, right? So remember your budget. Remember the issues will come to surface quickly if you do not stay on task. Timeliness and timelines. You have to stick with them. You've met, you've planned, you go one step at a time, but somebody has to make that first step to start this process, and you have to stick to it. You have to police each other. You need to follow it as a team effort. You want to ensure that everyone will be kept on task. This will ensure the successfulness of the program. All right, I'm going to pass it back over to Ms. Reba.
Okay, and so on our journey, we are now ready to launch. We've done a lot of planning. We've gotten out there in the community. We have our team together. So now it's time to really get this party started. This is phase 5. So get ready, get set, go. Okay, first let's make sure we're ready. So we have to test all of our internal systems before we go out and really say that, you know, we're going to start the program on such and such date. So you have to have your communications and marketing plans in place. You have to have your client flow chart. You have to figure out exactly what people are going to do and where they're going to do and who they're going to do it with. You also have to have your data collection and your reporting in place, as well as your referral systems, because once again, we are not an island and we can't do it all alone. So you want to have a dry run or some type of soft opening. You don't want to just kind of roll out in full steam and then have to peel back or have disappointments. So in your dry run and soft openings should be people that love you and people that you love, that are friendly toward what it is that you're doing. So you want your family and friends who should also be helping you to promote this project, because they have seen you struggle from concept to implementation. And then your community partners, all your supporters. And you want to learn from any mistakes that you may make during that dry run, during that soft opening. And then you want to have a promotion of some sort. We talked about budgeting. And, you know, when we talk about marketing, a lot of times we think, you know, TV and radio. Well, we believe in guerrilla marketing. So there are cable stations where you can put things on for free. There's every community has a newspaper, so target that community newspaper. Is a lot cheaper than our regional newspaper. You know, there are meetings, that there's partner meetings, there collaborating meetings, there's your partner group. So utilize, because whenever we survey, even though we've gotten really sophisticated with social media, people still say it's word of mouth. And so don't take that for granted. You really want to make sure that you have a positive impression out in the community and that you're using that to your advantage. So this is it. You know, it's time to get the ball rolling. And so, but allow for a learning curve. You want to gradually build your staff. You want to engage your staff to give honest feedback, because you can't be everywhere at the same time. So you guys want to pull together at least once a week, or, you know, plan for feedback times where everybody can say, okay, this is working great, but this may need some work. You know, you want to tweak your system so you get everything running on all cylinders. You want to have frequent reviews and have close supervision. You have policies and procedures on paper, but what good is the paper if nobody's following it? So you need to be there on site as much as possible. And if not you, then make sure one of your staff has a supervisory role where they're making sure that the policies and procedures are being followed. They may need tweaking, but you know, you need to be addressing that. They just can't be something that you do and then put on a shelf. And also with your data collection, because you may be doing great work, but if it's not written down and documented, it didn't happen. And so, and then you look, your resources are gone. We don't know what happened, but that can't be. We have to think about how we're going to collect that data and make sure to check and make sure that we're getting everything that we're doing and documenting that. You want to keep the momentum going. Thomas talked about promotions. So you want to make sure that you have people in place, that you have promotions in place, that, you know, you're keeping the ball rolling and keeping everything positive. And so that's the last phase of our implementation plan. Just to review what we have done so far. You want to keep up the good work. And then we had the gear up phase, if you remember, and then we assembled our team and we helped you to get to know your audience a little better. We talked about marketing and what's needed to launch your project. So Chelsea's next, and this will be my last time speaking to you today. And so thank you all for being a part of this. I really can't wait to see what you're going to do with this information. Chelsea will send you a survey, and we want you to let us know the type of things that you would like to see in the future. So here's your review. Pay attention.
All right, time to review. How exciting. This is always one of my favorite parts. It's when we actually get to review, because it means you paid attention this long. Give yourselves a round of applause. Okay, so just a little quiz. True or false? When gearing up to implement your program, you should always plan alone to avoid distractions. Yeah, that's actually not what you want to do. You want to plan with your team. One of the reasons why we spent so much time talking about the importance of having an implementation team is because, like Ms. Eva said, you cannot do it by yourself. You'll go crazy and be half dead if you try to do it by yourself. So you really need to get your team together, and then you can delegate some of these other tasks in terms of making sure that things are good with hiring, that things are good with communications, that things are good with the troubleshooting. So you need your team. Don't do it by yourself. That's not how any of that goes. And then two, people have ideas that you don't have, so you actually want to consult as many people as you can. So question number 2, what's your major considerations when assembling your team? The hiring plan, human resources rules, that you set clear expectations and have a stress plan? And the answer is that you really want to do all of the above. One is not more important than the other, because if you have an organization or if you have a group that's working and doing great work, and you know your HR is messed up, How long will you be able to do that before you get sued? The answer is not long. Okay, so question number 3, when considering your audience, which is not important, whether it's the primary or secondary audience, whether the audience is internal or external, or the shoe sizes, and unless you have a shoe-related program, it's going to be the shoe sizes. No one cares. So then question number 4, when marketing your program, you should expect people to know and then let it flow. Just go, people, I'm sure people know what we're doing over here. Or should you develop a communications plan? And the answer is most definitely to develop a communications plan. And question number 5 is when launching your program, what should you not do? So you make sure that you test your internal systems, have a trial run, your dry run, your soft opening, that you do launch it. You don't just plan a great program and then don't actually launch it. And find the nearest competitor and punch them in the nose. And assault is actually illegal. And it's not how you make good partnerships. We talked about making new friends. So I want to thank you for your support. And we have a gift for you, which is more information and more fun facts. So for those of you who are able to stay to the end, you actually get goodies. So we want to make sure that you know, again, like we said, we will send this all to you. But you can also access it from Disrupt Poverty, palmettocap.org/disrupt poverty, our website that we have specifically for these trainings and these events that we're having. And the other thing we wanted to tell you to do is make sure that you visit your local library. We are huge library fans. Those are some of our favorite partnerships. And the reason for that is because not only do they have space that you can use to host meetings and events and programs, wink, wink, nod, nod, they're free, but you can also use the resources that they have. They have tons of books there. They have people who are in-house. Actually, at the main library, they have groups like the grant writing meeting and other ones that can help you to get your things in order, get your house in order. So you make sure that you use those. So here are some upcoming workshops that we have from SCORE. We do also love SCORE because they have free trainings and free workshops and different resources that they can provide. And this is a group that is specifically for small business organizations. However, it's important to remember that when you have a nonprofit, it is a non-profit business, a not-for-profit business. When you are working with a church, it is a faith-based organization, faith-based business. Maybe your mission isn't profit-driven, but it is still a business and you should still run it as such. And so really to attend these workshops are very beneficial for you. And so here are some more upcoming dates, just of not only what's going on in the community, but what Palmetto CAP has in particular. So I want to point out in the community, but this coming Saturday is the Increasing Hope Money Fair. We love financial literacy and asset building, and Increasing Hope does a good job with that too. And so you should go and hang out with them if you've got some time this weekend. If you're not going to go there, I hope you will have registered your child for our scholarship workshop. It's too late if you didn't, but you can come to another one in the next year. So the next school year, this was our last one for the year. You can attend finance and food trucks with Trident United Way's Berkeley Prosperity Center. MUSC's Sea Island Family Project has a Gullah Research Day, and it's all about talking about how people in the Sea Islands can really access these different free health and clinical studies and get paid for it too. So that's a fun fact. Also, the Safety Net Assistance Network Breakfast is coming up on May 11th. So for those of you who are interested in doing a program that pertains to human needs, social work, any of that good stuff, you can do that. Our programs that are coming up include on May 1st, our Community Action Month Luncheon. We really want you guys to come. We will be sending you invitations soon, so keep an eye on your inbox. Our insufficient funds training, which we did mention at the last webinar, is all about poverty awareness, the virtual poverty simulation. You can come to that. Our youth leadership summer camp is going to be starting up at St. Stephen's Elementary, and we are recruiting now, and we're signing people up now, as well as you can come to Calling All Colors and sign up your little people for Calling All Colors, little people being aged 10 to 14 at Mother Emanuel AME, and we'll make sure you have all of that information. all of our program events are free of charge to attend. With summer camp, if a family is not income eligible, it's $25 a week per child. It's not like crazy expensive. However, we do have a great opportunity that we do want to tell you about with our grantsmanship training program. We did partner with the Grantsmanship Training Center. And so all that does is it's this really intensive week-long program that teaches you how to write grants. Like for real, for real. You get this really, really, really great chance to learn about it. It's not free, but we will be teaching you about an opportunity that we have in which you can pay for it and get a half-price scholarship. And so they were really cool. They gave us a scholarship. We've partnered with Origins SC, which is formerly Family Services, to do this. And when we do it, what's going to happen is it costs about, and I left the exact dollar amount, but it's about $800, $900. And so they've given us a half scholarship so that you can actually come for about $500, which is amazing because it's really, really good training. And also the Charleston Association of Grant Professionals will be raffling off an attendance, one slot for one person to attend. So if you don't go to those meetings, you should. They're the third Tuesday of every month at the main library in the evenings. So let's check for questions super fast. Let's see, who wants to talk to us? Anybody have any questions? Any questions? If we have not answered your question, please let us know now so that we can try to address it as we bring this webinar to a close. And we are asking that you use your chat feature for any questions. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, so you know, one of the things, looks like nobody has questions. We're just gonna go on. But one of the things that we also wanted to tell you about is how you're gonna get this information. So we have an evaluation that we're gonna be sending you, which is what we're gonna use to enter you into the drawing to win the half-price grantsmanship scholarship, I guess we're calling it. So pretty much, once you get that, there's going to be a question that asks you to rate what you thought about this webinar. And then also, it's going to give you a chance to indicate your interest. And if you're interested, then we'll put your name in the hat and pull it, and you can come hang out with us in June. You're also going to get the slide deck, all the materials. There are some other materials that we will be sending you. So when you get the email from us, don't just think, oh, this is just the follow-up survey and I'm not going to open this. Because there's where we put all of our goodies in there. So the communications plan we mentioned, implementation planning, sample MOUs, our MOU, which you can look at and see how everything works. You know, check your email. And so please and thank you. If you guys don't have any more questions, we do ask that you just share what you learned and that you look at us on social media and follow us and like us and click us and share our stuff and all that other good things so that you can be kept abreast of what's going on. And at this point, if you guys don't have any more questions and all hearts and minds are clear, we are going to go ahead and dismiss. So thank you all so, so much. We appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Ta-ta. Ta-ta for now. Bye from the squad. Bye, squad.